We'll see a UI label demo. So not with storyboard, just we'll see with coding. Later uh, we'll learn how to do with the storyboard. Single view application, make it label demo. So I have not selected anything like code or all like still we are learning the things with Objective C. So as I explained about a graphical element creation. So now I would like to add one label. So what is the major use of a label in any user interface? So label usage is the way you want to display some text. For example, we use UI label. We use UI label class. This is this is API. This is a API class which used for displaying a text data on a view. This is a subclass for a UI view, the subclass of UI view. The label, so what we can do with this? The label text, this is very simple. Like if you want to give some title, or if you want to give some something like it's a title kind of thing, so we use the label. So if you want to make something, so in a static data which needs to be presented, so we can use labels. When a static information needs to be added on a view, the label will be used. The label will have a label is having properties to change the font for text which displayed, adding text color or adding color to text. And since it is a subclass of UI view, what the properties the view supports, the same properties is inherited for U label as well. So we can add a text color and the font, adding font to text, and still you can give a mirror image, mirror text display, and still you can set a offset for a text, number of lines for text display. The label, so what it's not having label, no action is added for the label. There is no action for the label, but view you can add a gesture to get an action as a tap or a swipe. So you can add a gesture to view, but there is no action for label. And still you can give a different text color, you can give it, and you can apply color for offset, text offset. So we'll see. There are the three, as discussed, for any user interface based API classes. When you use it, we have three principles: object creation with memory allocation, and frame. The frame, it's like origin and size, and it's attaching to one of the super view. So these are the primary things which we have to remember when we start coding for any graphical user element. Let's create a label. Label, as you said, you can go with memory allocation with alloc in it, or else you can create a new. So either or. So there is a property called text. So this property will be used to write some string or text data on the label. So welcome to label. My first step object creation is done. My next step is to give some frame. So I'm now we are providing an origin and size for this label. So where to start? Whatever the view, here self indicates the view controller object. So every view controller object is having a property called view, so which refers to the view of a view controller. So now we are assigning the bounds, the area which the view controller view occupied. So view controller view, whatever the area is occupied, the same area is providing as a frame for this label. So always bounds origin is 0 0. That we should keep in mind. So that's where the difference for a bounds and frame. Our first principle is object creation. The second principle is adding a frame or giving a frame. The third principle is present this label to any view. So I want to display this label on a graphical element of a view controller view. So in order to add any view to another view, so we have a method add subview. Just add it. Now we can see the label. Let's see a label. Later we'll discuss about how the properties we can what other properties are available. So now we are running in a 6 plus. Is there any label? Can we see? So yeah, we can see it here. So the label, now you can give an alignment. By default, the text for a label is left aligned. Now I want this to be aligned right or center. So text alignment. So you can see a property text alignment. The class type is NS text alignment. Now you can keep NS text alignment center. Give this property the text. Now the text is center aligned. Now you can see that. You can see a text. We will reduce the size. This now we see 100%, then make it 50%. Now we can see the label. What's the area the label is occupied, or the frame the which label is occupied filled with a different color. I'm filling a label color, background color, just by passing a color object. So that's, so since it is a black, we'll give it yellow. Yellow with black. Text color is black by default, and I applied yellow color. Now see, the entire view area is occupied by the label, because the entire view area given as like a frame for the label. If you want to reduce or welcome to label and give some text, adding some more text to the label. Now you see, welcome to label, adding some more text to the label. And if you add some more thing else, add extra text. Now we'll see how text is displayed on. Now we not able to see the rest of this text from the label, so it is trimmed. So when the text is larger than the width of the label, so the rest of the characters has been trimmed. The trim is happened at end level. It's like a trimming was done at end level, not at beginning level. It's not prefixed, it's like a, you can say like it's a suffix level trimming. So when you want to, you can specify the label text in number of, now it is a single line, now we'll make it to number of lines for 2. When it is a single line, if the text is occupying more than the width of the label, if the label is having more height, then you can keep the number of lines, so that it will adjust the text automatically based on your alignment, as per the alignment. So the alignment is at an center, so now whatever the text is left from the width, so which is adjusted as a second line from the center alignment. So this is where, like, if your label is having more height, so you can apply a number of lines. If your label height is very less, if you apply for number of lines, then it's very difficult to display the data. Then we'll see. You'll apply some frame. So scissor act make, give some frame, 100x, 100y. Now the width is 200, height is 30. So this is the frame. So previous, we provided the frame as the area of a view, so we are able to see the label as a full to your view. Now we provided a customized frame. Since we given a number of lines is 2, but we are able to see the text in a single line, we are not able to see the text in multi lines, because the label height is very less. If the label height is more, then you can able to see your number of lines property behavior. Now we are not able to see the behavior in 2 lines. If your label is more height, if you apply number of lines, it will accept. Now see, the text is trimmed at end. Now I want to change this trimming to either front or at the center. So what we can do, label dot we have a property for it. You can say clips to bounds is a different one. We'll see, there is a property, forgot. You can see line breaks. So how the text is truncated. Yeah, you can make it. So it's not like a label, it's a subclass of a view. So whatever you present in a graphical user interface, that is a view. So the view, if it is frame, if you want to change that frame to a different shape, instead of rectangle, you can add it, no issue. So here we can see the number of the breaks. So you can break the text in different ways. By default, it's a tail truncation. So we can change it to head or middle or word wrap or character wrap or clip to frame. So this is where we can apply. So let's see, let apply that line break mode. So this line break mode is to make the line how it needs to be displayed, how the display should be. So line break mode we added as center. So middle. Now the label is able to display the text of initial and end. So if the text is exceeded the width, the middle text is wrapped. So this is what the line break mode property did. So the line break mode property, when you apply, it changes the text display if it exceeds the height or width. So now it is exceeds the width. So always to keep in mind, if you are adding any text to label, if you want to display the full text, it is better to calculate the size of a text based on the font. So whatever the size we received from that specific font, so then we have to provide the frame. So then it makes the text displays, we can able to see the text display is full. Now we have one more property like clips to bounds. We'll see how it happens. Let's keep this one. So whatever the text you are able to see in a bounds, so it will get displayed. There is a property called not auto resizing. So we can apply shadow color. So as I said, it's a mirror like shadow. Well, gives how we want shadow. So exposition, if you want to extend the width or height, what we want we can make it. So y will make it some 10. Give some shadow color. So we'll enhance the height to 130. Now we increase the height and we change the offset and color and all. Now you see there is a shadow text for the label. So the shadow text is started from the same position where the initial text is started, because the xy size, xy is width is 0. So it starts from the previous origin of the text, wherever it started, it starts from the same, the shadow as well. If I move to 10 pixel, then the text initially moves 10 pixel from your original text. This is your original, so this is your shadow. Shadow moved 10 pixel forward when I provided the offset width is 10. So here width will take is like a x position, and y will take it like a y position from the, so I specify it's a 10. If you give 0, then by default shadow offset is 0 0. We'll take the same color whatever it is applied. Now you see that the text y position is same as the original text. The shadow text and the original text is started, the y position is same. The x position is got varied, so we are able to see that there is some difference. Let's move the different color shadow offset on the same color. Now we're not able to see that change because the shadow is started as same as your previous text. If you want to give some shadow, just give it, display some shadow. Most of the times we will use the shadow something like this. You can give some different color. This is one way. So this is the basic usage of a label. So when we need a label, so if you want to display some text on a view, so we would like to give a meaningful usage. So for example, if you create a login page, we have to say the two text fields. One is like username and second one is like a password. So when you add a different text fields, it's a better to provide a label which describes about that other element. So this is the description we can utilize with a label. So you cannot edit any data at a runtime. So now if you want to edit this text, so we cannot edit any text now. Through from the user interface, we cannot edit the text in a label. So this is about the some properties of a label. So still we have more properties like calculating the size of a label, and I said like we can apply a font. Let's apply the font. So for font we have a font property. We have a class called UI font. We can use a method font with the family name or font with name and size. Helvetica just provide 25. This is my size. See that? So it's applied now. Font I want bold. Now you can see the bold of font. So you can apply the font, so which are available and supported by the UI font. So if you want to know what the fonts are supported by default from the UI font, just use this. Let's display in console. So these are the fonts are available. You can see now. So what are the fonts are available are supported by the UI font. So these are all the fonts you can use whatever you want. So if you want to add any custom fonts, though, so that is a different approach we have to do. We'll tell you now. We'll tell you later. So here if it is Helvetica, can we find this? Not open. So Times New Roman. So this is like you can able to search from what fonts are available and UI font is supported by. So here you can see Helvetica. So I use the same font. If your font is there in your default fonts, so it will get applied. So if your font is not available in the font which supported by the Apple, then we have to add a font file and we need to configure that font file. So then we can use it. So that's a different approach. It's all together adding customized fonts. So this is about label. So these are the most used properties for a label when we apply. And there is one more property, as if now let's start with another API. This is about font. So we'll start with indicators. So there is some indicators we can use, like UI activity indicator. So this is a label, and activity indicator view, there is a one class. So if you want to display any indicator, it's like we'll show you that. So this is our basic principle, creating of so when we create an indicator, we have a method. So what style, we can add a style. So either you can do like simple object creation, or else you can allocate a memory and you can initialize with a style. Every class, as we have seen the two approaches while creating an object. So first approach is to create an object with new method. The second approach is allocate a memory and initialize with a certain property. So these are the two approaches we have in Objective-C when we create an object. So here I am using memory allocation with a one property, initialize with one style. So since the class is having one method with initialization of a activity indicator with style, so we can use it. I'm giving you one style, white large. Now this is our first property, is to create an object. The second principle, to add to some view, so indicator. So third principle is what's the size we want. Indicator set frame. So frame contains two properties, one is origin and one is size. Let's make an origin of 100, 200, size make it 50, 50. If it is having certain property, it's an indicator view, in the sense we might have observed that the indicators will be displayed when we doing something in a background. Like if when you download a data, will give one star rotator kind of image which rotates like a wheel. So that's what if you want to display such kind of a user interface to indicate there is a process, or there is some set of lines are executing in background, or there is some process is going on, when we wants to get some information, in order to indicate to the user, we use this indicator view. So here the indicator is like a wheel. If you want to rotate, there is a property, start animating. You can animate it. Let's see. Are we able to see that indicator? No. I added the indicator, started animating. Is it? Let's give, since it is a white large, we'll apply some color to the background. So now we see how indicator appears. So this is we call as indicator. For example, if the data is downloading from the server, or when the user is sent one request, or when the user is want one service, the service is in progress. So we can give a display to the user by saying that there is some process is working in background. So we use in that scenario, or in that in that scenario we use this activity indicator to give a meaningful presentation. So all these UI elements will use for the user presentation. So if you want to give a meaningful presentation, we have to use the activity indicator when we are doing some background process, or when we are doing with something is processed and something was started from the user. So this is the one of the API class. So this API class indicator style I want to keep in center. So move the center of the specific view, the view controller center as applied as a center for indicator. So now the indicator will become a center of the view. So because the background view center applied as same as this activity view center. So now the activity view center is became a center of the view controller. So now we are able to see this view object as a center of the screen. So I explained about the property center. You can change the point of center. So whatever the point applied, so the same point will become a center of the view. So you can change the color. So white large. So now we are able to see apply a gray. So this is the default colors is given to indicator. Now we can see the gray colored indicator. We have a method start animating. If we give start animating, so it start rotating that animator. So if you want to rotate, then we have to apply a method start animating. If you want to stop it, so for example, I want to stop this object animation. So then let's take one functionality. If the user is tapped at the view controller view, now we need to get a control. So I just applied a touch begin as of now to understand better. Now this indicator view added to the view controller view as a subview. We can say this indicator is one of the subviews for self.view. So means this view controller view is having two subviews. One is label and one is indicator. I want this indicator from some other functionality. So then I needs to identify this object independently from that super view. So for that, if you want to identify any view object as a unique from its subviews hierarchy, we have to give a tag value. So I am giving a tag value as 100. So now this object is identified, can be identified with the tag value 100 from the subviews of its superclass. So now this view self.view is having two subviews. I want activity indicator, so I can retrieve it. Now the class is activity indicator view, active. Now you can get the view. So if you want to retrieve a view which is having some tag, we can use a method called view with tag. So do the typecasting. Now I want to stop it, stop animating. So by default, when an indicator view is got stopped the animation, it moves to hidden state. If you don't want, if you want to see that even if the indicator got stopped animating, if you want to see that on the view we can give a property. So the property like hides when stopped, hidden when stopped. There is a method. If by default it's a true, if you make it false, even if the activity indicator animation stopped, the activity indicator get displayed. It means the activity indicator will be visible even if it stopped the animation. So now the animation has been stopped, but we are able to see that activity indicator visible. So I stopped animation, but if you keep this property as a false, then we are able to see that if you if this property is true, so by default it's true, we stopped the activity indicator. Now it's not visible, it's still in the view subviews hierarchy, but it's not presented on the view controller. So if you want to see that, even if the activity indicator is stopped, make this property as hidden when stopped property as false. Now this is where how we can able to see that. By default activity indicator will have some size. Now let's change the frame. So this is the default size of a activity view control, activity indicator view. So only for this API you don't need to specify the size. Origin, instead of origin here we provided center. If the center is applied, we can able to see that where the indicator view is presented. So this is about the activity indicator. So even for the activity indicator there is no action. So now we applied an action from touch begin. If the user is tapped any view, like we given one customized action for this view, by observing that event, touch event, we added one functionality for the activity indicator. But the activity indicator is not having any action binded. It's a view subclass. Each subview uses separate thread. No, why? It's not required, right? All the views elements are works on main thread. All UI view elements will be presented with a main thread. See, you cannot never and ever apply any background threads when you work with user interface. The user interface elements should be processed on main thread. So if you want to give any functionality or any action, that should follow the main thread. So if you want to do something with background threads, just apply the background threads for your data calculation, or for any background web services, or is there any related business logic, but don't apply any view related data processing on background threads. Now we'll work with the image view. We have seen how to display text, and we have seen one UI view subclass activity indicator, how a indicator view will be presented. Now we'll work with image. If there is a image data, if you want to display on a view, so for that we have two classes. One is image class. So image class will be used to get an image from the image file. So for that we have a property called image named. For example, you have one image. Let's take one image. I add one image. Now the image name is iotai.png. Now I want to display this image on user interface. So this UI image is a image object. Here when you use a method image named, which process the data from the specific file, the file is in png. Now the entire file data will be converted to a image object. Now this image object needs to be displayed on the user interface. For in order to view this image object, we have another helping class that is called image view. So this is a view which presents image. This image view is a subclass of UI view. Let's create image view. This is a presentation view, so we follow the same. Either we have the different methods. Just go through this .h file, then we'll see what are the methods are available. So apart from our class, what we have discussed, just go through that API class and walk through what are the other methods are there. Yes, I'm explaining the methods which are mostly used. So now we want to add this image to the image view. For that we have a property image. Just assign this image object to image view. We did two steps: object, and we set one property. Now we need to set a frame size where this needs to be started. This is rect make, give it 10 10. So this is my width and height. Now add this view to another view. So using a subview, add subview method. Now image view is presented on the current view of a view controller with a specific size and the origin. Now it starts from 10 10 200 200 width and height. Now this is your object image. This is our image we used. Is having a different size. When we display, we can do with storyboard, but before that we'll know from the coding as well. So this is now we able to see that image view. So image and image view. So this is creating an image object from an image name. Now we're adding that. Now we are able to see that how the image is displayed. We have a property called content mode. Set content size or content mode. How we want this. UI view content mode needs to be filled, or how exactly needs to be. I want to scale to fit. Now it will scale according to the frame of image view, it will make it fit. Now you see that the previously we have seen an image with a different look and feel. Now we have seen an image with a different look and feel. When we apply the content mode, it will do that ratio based image recreation. So it recreates an image with a specific within that area of the image view which occupies. Just move this to center so we can see some better view. Center. Now we can see how the image view, you can see in a bit different way. So now we can see that. So this is about image presentation. We have two methods. One is like you can go with image named to directly point the image with name. If you want to take from the file, you can use a file path, and from the path to you can convert an image object. There is a different method. For example, if you want to display more than one image, so we have an image animation, set of animation, we can do that. So for example, I have an array of images on my bundle. Let me take one more image. Logo. Logo.png. Let's create an array of images. Array with, I'm creating empty array. No, just create array. This is immutable object. Let's create with objects. Image named logo.png. This is one image object. This is another image object. And this array. Now apply this array to image view. Set of animation images. Give that array. And now start the image view animation. Start animation. Give a certain duration. How much time do you want to see that? Duration. I would like to see something. Or you can give that image view. Set animation repetition count. How many times you want? For that 5 seconds. I want 10 times. Let's see how it displays. Start animating. So before that, we'll add this. Now you can see the image change, but I provided the duration is 2. Since it is having 2 images, I gave the duration as 5. The animation repetition count is 1. One time it's get repeated. So let's repeat 5 times with 1 second. So it's repeated 5 times. Repetition count is 10. Let's make the repetition count as -1. Negative. Now it's unlimited continuous image changes. This is the way of animating the images with image view. You can display single image with image view, or else if you want to display a collection of images in an animation with a UI image view, we can do that. So these are the API classes we use for to display the text. Static text, use label. Give an indicator, use indicator view. Want to display image data, use image view. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow about